Part 5, The Last Mistake. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel directly above the Valtech homeworld. 15,000 warships filled the orbit, their weapons aimed at the planet below. On the surface, 12 billion Valtech looked up at the sky and saw their death approaching. Fleet Admiral Minho Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Fury. Around him were the officers who had survived 7 years of war. Captain Jiwoo Lee, Colonel Yoonji Han, Colonel Junho Song, Dr. Soo-min Choi. All of them were scarred, tired, and filled with hatred. All weapons armed and ready, his tactical officer reported. "We can begin planetary bombardment on your order, sir." Minho looked at the planet on his screen. It looked peaceful from orbit. Beautiful even. Green and blue, covered in cities and farms. 12 billion people lived down there. Most of them had nothing to do with the invasion of Earth. They were just civilians living their lives, just like the people on Earth had been before the Valtech fleet arrived. "Admiral," Dr. Soo-min Choi said quietly, "if we do this, we become them. We become the monsters who destroy entire civilizations." "They made us monsters," Colonel Junho Song replied. "They have no right to complain about what they created. But do we have the right to kill 12 billion people?" Jiwoo Lee asked. Her voice was uncertain for the first time in years. "Many of them are children. Innocent children." The bridge went silent. Minho looked at each of his officers. These people had lost everything. They had fought for 7 years. They had watched friends die. They had killed billions of aliens, and now at the moment of final victory they were hesitating. "How many of us survived?" Minho asked quietly. 2 billion humans remain, sir," an officer reported. "Down from 8 billion before the war, 6 billion dead. 6 billion people who had been living peaceful lives before the Valtech came." Minho thought of his wife and daughter. He thought of all the families that had been erased. He thought of the cities that had burned. Then he thought of something else. A memory from before the war. His daughter asking him why humans explored space. He had told her, "Because we want to meet other people. We want to learn and share and grow together." That hope had died when the Valtech attacked. But did killing 12 billion aliens bring it back? Did it honor the dead? Or did it just create more death? "Open a channel to Emperor Thoraxis," Minho ordered. The Emperor's face appeared on screen. He looked old and defeated. "Have you come to gloat before you destroy us?" Thoraxis asked. "I have come to offer terms," Minho said. The bridge erupted in shocked voices, but he held up his hand for silence. "Your empire is finished. Your military is scattered. Your economy is destroyed. You have no power left. But I am offering you a choice." "What choice?" Thoraxis asked suspiciously. "Total surrender. Your government is dissolved. Your military is permanently disbanded. Every leader who ordered the attack on Earth stands trial for genocide. Your people pay reparations for 1,000 years. And most importantly," Minho's voice turned cold, "we build orbital weapons platforms around your homeworld. Enough firepower to destroy this planet 100 times over. They remain there forever. If the Valtech ever threaten another species, if you ever rebuild your military, if you ever break any term of this surrender, we push a button, and your entire species dies. You live on our mercy for the rest of time." President Yunabei's face appeared on a split screen. "I approve these terms," she said from Earth. "But Emperor, understand this, we do not forgive. We will never forgive. We are letting you live because we want to be better than you. But if you test us, if you make us regret this choice, we will finish what we almost started today." Thoraxis looked at the human fleet surrounding his world. He looked at Minho's cold eyes. He understood that humanity was giving him a chance they had never received. A chance to surrender instead of die. "I accept your terms," he said quietly. The Valtech Empire surrenders unconditionally. Across the galaxy, the war ended. Not with a final battle, but with a species choosing mercy over vengeance. The decision was not popular. Many humans wanted the Valtech destroyed completely. They wanted revenge for 6 billion dead. But President Yunabei addressed humanity from the ruins of Seoul. "The Valtech tried to make us extinct. We could do the same to them. But then what separates us from them? We are better than this. We are better than they are. We win by surviving. We win by being strong enough to show mercy even to those who showed us none." The reconstruction began. On Earth, cities were rebuilt. The population slowly recovered. But humanity was changed forever. They were no longer naive explorers hoping to find friends in space. They were survivors who had learned a hard lesson, The galaxy was dangerous. Fleet Admiral Minho Park retired after the war. He returned to Korea and bought a small farm in the countryside, far from any cities. He tried to forget the war. He tried to forget the billions he had killed. But the memory stayed with him. One day his granddaughter Hana visited him. She was 8 years old and full of questions. "Grandfather, they say you were a hero in the war. Is that true?" Minho looked at her and saw his dead daughter in her face. "I was a soldier," he said carefully. "Heroes save people. I killed people. But you saved humanity," Hana insisted. "You beat the bad aliens." "Yes," Minho admitted, "we won. But winning cost us everything we used to be." On the Valtech homeworld, life continued under human oversight. The orbital weapons platforms hung in the sky like swords waiting to fall. Every Valtech child grew up seeing them. They learned about the great mistake, the day their empire attacked Earth and doomed itself. A Valtech historian named Vexen wrote the final entry in the Empire's historical records. "We believed the humans were weak because they valued peace. We believed they would be easy to conquer because they showed mercy to others. We were wrong about everything. They were not weak. They were patient. They were not easy prey. They were hunters who had chosen not to hunt. When we forced them to fight, we discovered that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their military. It was their refusal to break. We attacked Earth first. Humanity made sure it was our last mistake." Dr. Suman Choi founded the Institute for Galactic Peace after the war. She dedicated the rest of her life to preventing future conflicts. "We cannot undo what happened," she told her students. "But we can learn from it. War should always be the last choice, because once it begins, nobody wins. Everyone just loses in different ways." Colonel Yoonji Han became Secretary General of the United Earth Government. She represented humanity in the newly formed Galactic Council. When she gave her first address, she spoke simply. "Humanity did not want war. We explored space looking for friends and knowledge. The Valtech gave us war instead. We learned that lesson. We learned it well. Now we tell the galaxy, leave us in peace and we will leave you in peace. But attack us and you will discover what we are capable of. We are humanity. We do not start wars, but we finish them." News of the war spread across the galaxy. Other species watched the recordings of the conflict and learned. They learned that the peaceful species from Earth was the most dangerous thing in space when provoked. A new term entered galactic vocabulary: human rules. It meant simple things. Never attack someone's homeworld. Never target civilians. Never push someone until they have nothing left to lose. Because humanity had shown what happens when you break those rules. They had shown that sometimes the prey becomes the predator. 20 years after the war ended, old Fleet Admiral Minho Park sat with his granddaughter Hana on his farm. She was 28 now, a young officer in the Earth Defense Force. They looked up at the stars together. "Grandfather," she asked, "the Valtech are rebuilding. Some people are afraid they will attack again. What do you think?" Minho was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "They will not attack. They learned. The whole galaxy learned. Humanity is willing to trade peace for peace. But if someone brings us war, we will trade death for death, and we are very, very good at it." "Would you fight again if you had to?" Hana asked. Minho thought about all the death, all the destruction, all the nightmares that still woke him at night. Then he thought about his granddaughter and the future she deserved. "Yes," he said firmly. "I hope we never have to. I hope we can live in peace. But if something threatens you, threatens our world, threatens our future?" He paused and looked at her. "Yes, every species in the galaxy now knows what we are. We are humanity. We do not start wars, but we damn sure finish them." Above them, the stars shone peacefully. Earth's defensive stations orbited silently, their weapons cold but ready. Humanity had survived its trial by fire. They had lost 6 billion people. They had lost their innocence. They had lost their naive hope that the galaxy was friendly, but they had won something too. They had won their freedom. They had won their future. And they had won respect. The hard kind earned through blood and fire that meant no one would ever mistake their kindness for weakness again. The Valtech had attacked Earth first. It was their last mistake, and the galaxy would remember that lesson for 1,000 years. Humanity had survived. And in surviving, they had become something new. Not monsters, though they had the capacity for monstrous actions. Not victims, though they had suffered terribly. Part 4. Ashes to Ashes. The first human strike hit the Valthek colony world of Thexeron 4 without warning. Captain Jiwoo Lee commanded the assault fleet, 200 warships that dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly over the planet's cities. The Valthek defenders scrambled to respond, but they were too slow. They had grown comfortable after centuries of conquest. No one attacked Valthek worlds. That was not how the galaxy worked. Humanity did not care how the galaxy worked. Target their water treatment facilities, Jiwoo ordered coldly. Then power generation. Then food production centers. Leave the military bases for last. Her officers looked shocked. Captain, those are civilian targets. They came to Earth and killed 5 billion civilians, Jiwoo said without emotion. Now they learn what that feels like. Fire all weapons, the bombardment began. Not on military installations, but on the infrastructure that kept 4 billion Valthek alive. Water plants exploded. Power grids collapsed. Agricultural centers burned. Within hours, the colony was crippled. The Valthek military tried to protect their civilians, but the human ships were already leaving. Jumping to the next target, Jiwoo broadcast a message on all Valthek frequencies. This is humanity's answer. For every city you destroyed, we destroy 10 of yours. For every billion you killed, we kill 10 billion of yours. You taught us there are no rules. We are excellent students. Across the Valthek Empire, 27 colonies came under attack simultaneously. Fleet Admiral Minho Park had divided humanity's forces into strike groups. Each group hit a different world. None stayed to fight the local defenses. They struck infrastructure and fled before reinforcements arrived. It was the same strategy the Valthek had used on Earth. Hit fast. Hit hard. Cause maximum damage. Disappear before the enemy could respond. But humanity was better at it. They had been on the receiving end. They knew every painful detail of how to break a civilization. Emperor SciFiPrime watched in horror as reports came in. 27 colonies under attack, billions dead. More importantly, billions more facing starvation and thirst as their infrastructure collapsed. He had ordered fleets to those worlds, but the humans were gone by the time his ships arrived. How is this possible? He demanded. We have the largest navy in the galaxy. They are not fighting our navy, Your Majesty, his military advisor explained. They are avoiding it. They strike civilian targets and leave before we can engage them. It is what we did to Earth. Thoraxis felt something cold in his chest. Fear. The humans had learned from their own suffering, and now they were teaching the Valthek the same lesson. Recall all fleets to defend the homeworld, he ordered. But Your Majesty, that will leave 30 more colonies undefended. Then we lose 30 colonies, Thoraxis said grimly. The homeworld cannot fall. Colonel Yoon-ji Han commanded a different kind of warfare. While the fleet struck military and infrastructure targets, her special operations teams infiltrated Valthek colonies and started insurgencies. They armed local slave populations. They sabotaged government buildings. They assassinated governors and military commanders. On one world, she led a team that broke into the Colonial Administration Center and broadcast footage of Valthek atrocities on Earth. She wanted the Valthek civilians to see what their empire had done. She wanted them to understand why humanity was coming for them. Your empire told you that you were bringing order to the galaxy, Yoonji's broadcast said. They lied. You are predators. And now you have awakened something worse than you. We are coming for every world, every colony, every station. And we will not stop until your empire is ash. The psychological impact was devastating. Valthek colonies began to panic. Some tried to surrender to humanity. Others demanded their government make peace. The empire that had stood for 10,000 years was fracturing. The Valthek fought back. They deployed forbidden weapons, graviton torpedoes that could crack a planet's crust. They used them on 2 human colony worlds in the outer systems, worlds that humanity had established before the war. Both planets died. 3 million humans were killed. President Yunabei's response was immediate and terrible. She appeared on every screen, every broadcast, every communication device in Valthek space. You destroyed 2 of our worlds, she said, her voice calm, but her eyes burning with hatred. We warned you what would happen. For every human world you destroy, we erase 10 of yours. Not attack, erase. We have developed antimatter weapons. Watch what happens to your colony at Drex's Prime. The broadcast showed a human ship approaching a Valthek colony world. The ship released a single missile. The missile contained 20 kilograms of antimatter, When it hit the planet's surface, the explosion vaporized everything within 1,000 kilometers. The shockwave circled the planet 3 times. When it settled, the colony of 8 billion was simply gone. 9 more colonies will die, UNA promised. Then we will consider the debt paid. Unless you destroy more human worlds. Then we destroy 20 of yours for each one. Test us, please, we have nothing left to lose. The Valthek did not destroy any more human worlds. They had finally learned that humanity meant what they said. The war became a massacre. Not of humanity, but of the Valthek Empire. Fleet Admiral Minho Park's forces struck deeper into alien territory. They destroyed shipyards. They blockaded trade routes. They attacked supply convoys. The Empire's economy collapsed. Colonies ran out of food. Civil unrest spread. Lieutenant Hyun Kim, now commanding his own ship, participated in what became known as the Battle of Nexus Station. The station was a major Valthek military hub, defended by 300 warships and massive weapons platforms. The human fleet numbered only 80 ships. But they did not fight fair. They sent in waves of unmanned drones first, overwhelming the station's defenses. Then they used nuclear weapons to blind the enemy sensors. Finally, they closed in and fired everything they had at point-blank range. Hyun's ship took severe damage, but he kept fighting. When his weapons failed, he rammed the station's command tower. He and his crew evacuated just before impact. The station broke apart, taking its 300 defending ships with it. Humanity was losing ships and soldiers, but the Valthek were losing faster. For every human vessel destroyed, 3 Valthek ships died. The math was brutal but simple. Humanity was willing to trade lives at a rate that would eventually destroy the Empire. Dr. Sumin Choi, working from a mobile research vessel, developed something new. A virus, not biological but digital. It infected Valthek computer systems and shut them down. Ships lost navigation. Stations lost life support. The virus spread through the Empire's networks like wildfire. I designed it to be painful, Sumin explained to Admiral Kang. When their systems fail, they will have time to think about why it is happening. Time to regret attacking Earth. You have become cruel, Kang observed. They made me this way, Sumin replied. I was a physicist who wanted to understand the universe. Now I am a weapon designer who wants to kill aliens. They did this to all of us. 5 years passed. 5 years of total war. The Valthek Empire, which had stood for 10 millennia, was falling apart. Half their colonies were destroyed or in rebellion. Their economy was in ruins. Their military was scattered and demoralized. They had started with 3 times humanity's population. Now the numbers were almost equal, because humanity had killed so many of them. Emperor Thraxus Prime sat on his throne and realized the terrible truth. The Valthek Empire was dying, and it was dying because they had attacked a species that refused to surrender. Send a message to the humans, he ordered his communications officer. Offer them peace. Offer them anything they want. Territory, resources, technology, anything. The message was sent. Fleet Admiral Minho Park received it aboard his flagship. He read the offer. Complete peace, reparations, territory, everything. He thought about it for exactly 3 seconds, then he sent a reply. No. No. The Valthek ambassador asked, confused. You do not want peace? We want what you wanted to give us, Minho replied. Extinction. You came to our world. You killed our families. You tried to erase us. Now we will erase you. This ends only one way. The human fleet began its final push toward the Valthek homeworld. 1 billion Valthek stood between them and their goal. The battle would be the largest in galactic history. As his fleet approached, Minho looked at the pictures on his wall. His wife, his daughter, both dead in the first attack. He had fought for 5 years. He had ordered the deaths of billions. He had become a monster to fight monsters. Sir, his communications officer said, we are receiving a personal message from Emperor Thraxus. He is begging for mercy. Minho thought about mercy, about the billions of humans who had begged for mercy and received none, about children who died screaming, about cities that burned. Tell him we will show him the same mercy he showed Earth, Minho said. Tell him to prepare to die. The final battle was about to begin. Part 3. The long night, the Valthek reinforcements arrived like a dark tide. The sky over Earth turned black with ships, thousands of them stretching from horizon to horizon. They brought weapons humanity had not seen before. Devices that boiled oceans, bombs that caused earthquakes, viruses designed to kill crops and animals. General Minho Park, promoted after leading successful defenses across Korea, stood in a bunker carved into the Himalayas and watched the reports come in. Africa was burning. South America was flooding as alien weapons melted the ice caps. Australia was being hit with biological weapons. The death toll climbed past 5 billion and kept rising. "We cannot hold the cities," his second-in-command reported. "We are being pushed back on every front." Minho looked at the map. Red covered most of it now, showing territory under alien control. Only pockets of resistance remained. Mountain ranges, deep forests, underground tunnel networks. Humanity was being crushed. "Order full retreat to the fortress positions," Minho said tiredly. "The Himalayas, the Rocky Mountains, the Andes, and what is left of the Australian outback. We make our stand there." "Sir, that means abandoning billions of civilians." "Those civilians are already dead," Minho said quietly. "We save who we can and keep fighting. That is all we can do now." Deep underground, President Yuna Bay sat at a conference table with the surviving military leaders. She looked older than her 50 years. Her hair had gone completely white in the 2 months since the invasion began. Half the people in this room had lost their entire families. "The Valthek are offering terms," she told them. "Complete surrender. Humanity becomes a slave species. They promise to stop the killing if we submit." "Do you believe them?" Admiral Doyun Kang asked. "No," Yuna admitted. "I think they will kill us anyway. They are just trying to save resources." "Then we keep fighting," Commander Jiwoo Lee said. Her face was scarred from a plasma burn, but her eyes were hard as steel. "We fight until they kill us all or we kill them all." "There is a third option," Admiral Kang said. He pulled out a tablet and showed them a plan. "Operation Blackout. We stop trying to defend Earth. Instead, we go on the offensive. Dr. Suman Choi has given us the locations of every Valthek military installation and colony. We build ships. We arm them with every weapon we can create, and we attack their empire directly." President Yuna Bay looked at the plan. It was brutal. It involved converting every factory, every shipyard, every resource humanity had left into weapons production. It meant training children as soldiers. It meant turning civilian ships into weapons. It meant total war. "If we do this," she said slowly, "we cannot go back. We will become a species built for war. Everything we were before the invasion, our culture, our dreams of peaceful exploration, all of that dies." "It is already dead," Colonel Junho Song said. "The Valthek killed it when they burned our cities. Now we become something else, something they will fear." Yuna looked around the table. Every face showed the same expression. Not hope, not even determination, just cold, focused hatred. "Begin Operation Blackout," she ordered. The transformation of humanity began. Dr. Suman Choi led teams that turned cargo haulers into missile platforms. Old satellites were retrofitted with kinetic weapons. Space stations became weapons factories. Every piece of technology was weaponized. In the mountain fortresses, Colonel Junho Song trained the survivors. Adults, teenagers, even children as young as 12. Everyone who could hold a weapon was taught to fight. There were no civilians anymore. There were only soldiers and the dead. "The aliens think we are weak because we valued life," Junho told a group of young fighters. "They think we will break because we cared about each other. They are wrong. The fact that we cared makes us stronger. Every person you lost gives you a reason to fight. Remember their faces. Remember their names. And when you face the enemy, make sure they pay." Major Yoonji Han's resistance cells had become a nightmare for the Valthek. They struck from nowhere and vanished like smoke. A supply convoy would be destroyed. A command post would explode. Soldiers would disappear in the night. The aliens controlled the territory on maps, but they could not stop the attacks. One night, Yoonji led a raid on a Valthek prison camp. They freed 3,000 human prisoners and killed every alien guard. As they escaped into the darkness, Yoonji left a message for the aliens. "You made the mistake of leaving some of us alive. Now we will make sure you regret it." The Valthek tried to respond with overwhelming force, but they were stretched thin. Holding a hostile planet was harder than conquering it. They had never faced an enemy that refused to accept defeat. Lieutenant Hyun Kim, now leading a special operations unit, managed something incredible. His team infiltrated a Valthek command ship that had landed for repairs. They fought through the corridors, took control of the bridge, and flew the ship away before the aliens could stop them. The captured ship was a treasure. Its computers contained military codes. fleet positions, tactical data, and most importantly, detailed schematics of Valtech technology. Dr. Suman Choi's team studied it all. Their weapons are powerful, Suman reported to Admiral Kang, but their ships are not as well armored as ours. They relied on never facing serious resistance. And look at this. She pulled up a star map. The Valtech homeworld is here, only lightly defended. They never imagined anyone would attack it. Admiral Kang studied the map. An idea formed in his mind. A terrible, beautiful idea. How many ships can we build in 3 years? He asked. If we convert every resource to ship production? Thousands. They will not be sophisticated, but they will be armed and they will fly. Then we build a fleet, Kang said. Not to defend Earth, to attack them. We take the war to their homes. We make them feel what we felt. Captain Tail Nam's Indomitable had been fighting for 3 months straight. The ship was damaged, its crew exhausted, but they kept fighting. They had learned that the Valtech expected honorable combat, ships facing each other in open space. So Tail stopped fighting honorably. He would hide the Indomitable in asteroid fields and ambush alien ships. He would pretend to retreat, then turn and fire at point-blank range. He would use kamikaze drones loaded with nuclear weapons. Every trick, every dirty tactic, every unfair advantage. The aliens called it dishonorable. Tail called it survival. In one engagement, he destroyed a Valtech battleship by ramming it with an unmanned cargo vessel traveling at high speed. The alien crew never expected it. They thought there were rules to war. They were learning that humans did not follow rules when fighting for their lives. 3 years passed. 3 years of grinding, brutal warfare. Earth's population dropped to 3 billion. Entire continents were uninhabitable. But humanity survived in their mountain fortresses and deep tunnels, and in orbit, in hidden shipyards scattered through the solar system, they built ships. The new human fleet was unlike anything in galactic history. The ships were ugly, boxy, built for function over form, but they were numerous and heavily armed. Every vessel carried weapons designed for one purpose, to kill as many aliens as possible before being destroyed. General Minho Park looked at the fleet through his viewport. 10,000 warships, another 5,000 support vessels, all crewed by people who had lost everything and wanted revenge. How many of us do you think will survive this? He asked Admiral Kang. Does it matter? Kang replied. If we die fighting. Better than dying in a camp or as slaves. President Unibay broadcast a message to every human ship and fortress. The Valtech came to our world seeking easy prey. They found humanity instead. They burned our cities. They killed our families. They tried to break our spirit. They failed. Now we take the war to them. We show them that attacking Earth was the last mistake their empire will ever make. For Earth, for our dead, for our future. The fleet began to move. They left the solar system behind, heading toward Valtech space. This was no longer about defense. This was about vengeance. On the Valtech homeworld, Emperor Thoraxis Prime received troubling reports. Human resistance on Earth was not weakening. Attacks on Valtech supply lines were increasing, and now long-range sensors detected a massive fleet moving toward Valtech territory. How large? He demanded. 15,000 vessels, Your Majesty. All armed, all heading toward our colonies. For the first time, Thoraxis felt concern. Recall the fleets. Protect our worlds, but it was too late. The hunt had begun. Humanity was coming, and they brought death with them. Part 2. Steel and Spite. 3 days after the invasion began, Captain Tail Nam received orders that should not exist. They came through channels that were supposed to be fake, from bases that were supposed to be myths. The message was simple. Report to Shipyard Omega. Your ship is ready. Tail had been hiding in the ruins of Incheon, leading hit-and-run attacks against alien ground forces. He thought he would die there. Instead, he found himself on a shuttle heading away from Earth, toward coordinates in the asteroid belt that showed nothing on civilian maps. What he found there took his breath away. The shipyard was massive, carved into the heart of a hollowed asteroid, and inside were ships, dozens of warships, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything in Earth's official navy. They had been built in secret over 20 years, ever since humanity detected signs of hostile civilizations in distant star systems. The governments had lied, had hidden the truth, had spent trillions preparing for a war they hoped would never come. The war had come anyway. Welcome aboard the Indomitable. a voice said behind him. Tail turned to see Admiral Doyun Kang, who had somehow escaped from the orbital station. She is yours now, Captain. We built her to fight monsters. Now we get to see if our designs work. Tail walked through his new ship. The Indomitable was not like the exploration vessels humanity usually built. There were no science labs, no civilian quarters, no diplomatic halls. Just weapons. Railguns that could punch through a mountain. Missile bays loaded with nuclear warheads. Laser batteries powered by reactors that ran too hot for normal operations. The ship was not designed to explore or defend. It was designed to kill. How many ships do we have? Tail asked. 47 combat-ready vessels, Doyun replied. Another 100 being rushed to completion. Not enough to win a straight fight against the alien fleet, but enough to make them regret coming here. Back on Earth, Commander Jiwoo Lee was learning that humans could be very creative when motivated by hatred. Her resistance fighters had captured several alien weapons and dragged them to the subway tunnels, where Dr. Suman Choi had set up a mobile laboratory. Suman worked without sleep, taking apart the alien technology piece by piece. The weapons used plasma held in magnetic bottles. The power source was something that looked like a crystal, but generated massive amounts of energy. It was advanced, yes, but not magical, and anything that could be understood could be copied. I can build a weapon using their power cells and our railgun technology, Suman explained to Jiwoo. It will not be as elegant as theirs, but it will kill them. How long? Jiwoo asked. Give me 2 days and 50 volunteers who do not mind possibly being vaporized if I make a mistake. Jiwoo smiled grimly. I will give you 100 volunteers.
Work fast, Doctor?
We are running out of places to hide. Major Yoonji Han was organizing civilians in the mountain tunnels of Gangwon Province. Thousands had fled the cities and were now living in caves and abandoned mines. Yoonji had been a logistics officer before the invasion. Now she was something else, a leader of people who had nothing left to lose. We cannot fight them directly, she told the assembled refugees. But we can make their occupation impossible. They need food, water, rest. We destroy their supply lines. We poison their water sources. We attack when they sleep and disappear before they can respond. We make them afraid of every shadow. An old man raised his hand. They have weapons that can destroy cities. What do we have? Yoonji held up a simple metal pipe packed with explosives. We have these. We have anger. We have knowledge of every tunnel and back road in this country, and we have nothing left to lose. That makes us the most dangerous thing in the universe. The civilians began making bombs, simple, crude, effective. They would plant them along roads the aliens used. They would hide them in buildings the aliens occupied. The Valthek Empire had conquered 47 worlds, but they had never faced an enemy that would not stop fighting. Colonel Junho Song was a psychological warfare specialist. Before the invasion, his job had been to make propaganda and manage information. Now he had a different mission. He stood in a captured alien communication facility, looking at the equipment Dr. Suman Choi's team had hacked. Can we broadcast to their fleet? Truno asked. Yes, one of the technicians confirmed. We can hijack their military channels. Good. Junho pulled out a data chip. Broadcast this on all frequencies. Make sure every alien ship receives it. The broadcast was simple. Video footage of dead Valthek soldiers, human soldiers standing over the bodies, and a message translated into the Valthek language. You came to our home. You killed our families. We will not stop until you are extinct. There is nowhere you can hide. We will follow you across the galaxy if necessary. You should have left us alone. In orbit, Valthek ship captains watched the broadcast with confusion. Prey species did not make threats. They begged for mercy, but humans did not beg. They promised revenge. For the first time in their long history, the Valthek felt something unfamiliar. They felt threatened. The counterattack came from nowhere. The Indomitable and her sister ships dropped out of hiding, their weapons already hot. They hit the Valthek fleet from multiple angles, targeting the larger capital ships with everything they had. Captain Tail Nam watched the tactical display light up. Fire all forward batteries. Target that command carrier. Hit it with everything. The Indomitable shuddered as her railguns fired. Magnetic accelerators launched tungsten projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The rounds hit the Valthek carrier's shields and punched through. Then came the missiles, nuclear-tipped, fusion-boosted, designed to crack open planets. 3 hit the carrier's hull directly. The massive alien ship broke apart. Target destroyed, Tail's weapons officer reported. her voice shaking with excitement. Moving to secondary targets. The Valthek fleet scrambled to respond, but they were slow. They had been sitting in orbit unopposed for 3 days. They had grown confident. Now that confidence cost them. 3 more capital ships died in the first 10 minutes of fighting, but the Valthek had numbers. For every ship humanity destroyed, they had 10 more. The human fleet had to retreat after destroying 6 enemy vessels. But those 6 ships represented the first Valthek military losses in over 300 years. On the surface, Lieutenant Hyun Kim led a raid on a Valthek supply depot. His soldiers moved through the ruins of Daejeon, using rubble and destroyed buildings as cover. The aliens had set up a base in what used to be a shopping district. Remember, Hyun whispered to his team, we are not here to win. We are here to make them bleed. They hit fast and hard. Explosives took out the depot's power generators. Sniper fire from multiple positions killed the guards. Human soldiers rushed in, grabbed whatever supplies they could carry, and vanished back into the ruins. The whole raid took 4 minutes. The Valthek sent reinforcements, but by then the humans were gone. All the aliens found were bodies of their own soldiers and a message spray-painted on a wall in Korean. Welcome to Earth. Emperor Thoraxis Prime of the Valthek Empire sat on his throne, watching reports from the Earth invasion. This should have been simple. Destroy the major cities, land troops accept surrender. They had done it 47 times before. But the humans were not following the script. They kept fighting. They attacked supply lines. They broadcast threats. They destroyed military vessels. And most disturbing of all, they were learning. Every day they understood Valthek technology better. Every day they became more dangerous. Deploy the reserve fleets, Thoraxis ordered. 60% of our total military strength. I want Earth crushed. I want humanity broken. They need to learn what happens when someone defies the Empire. His advisors looked nervous. Your Majesty, that will leave our other territories poorly defended. The other territories are not in rebellion, Thoraxis said coldly. Earth is. Make an example of them. Show the galaxy what happens to species who dare to resist. The largest fleet in Valthek history began moving toward Earth. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, weapons that could sterilize planets. They came to end humanity's resistance once and for all. But in her underground laboratory, Dr. Suman Choi was smiling. She had finished decoding the alien FTL communication network. She now knew the location of every Valthek colony, every military base, every important target in their empire. Commander Lee, she said into her radio, I need to speak with whoever is in charge of our military. I know how we can win this war. We are losing, Jiwoo replied. How can we win? By doing what they did to us, Suman said simply. We take the war to them. Part 1. The Burning Sky. The morning started like any other morning in Seoul. Captain Minho Park stood on the military base, watching his soldiers run through their training exercises. The sun was bright, the air was cool, and everything felt normal. He checked his watch and smiled. Just another Tuesday. Then the sky split open. Minho looked up and saw something impossible. Giant tears appeared in the air itself, glowing red like open wounds. Through these tears came ships, massive ships bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They were black and covered in strange symbols that hurt to look at. One ship appeared over Seoul, then another, then 10 more. All across the world the same thing was happening. Minho grabbed his radio. Command, what am I looking at? The response was panicked voices and static. Then silence. Then screaming. The ships opened fire without warning. Beams of purple light shot down from the sky and hit the city. Buildings exploded. Streets melted. People who were walking to work 1 second were gone the next. Mia watched in horror as downtown Seoul simply ceased to exist. The heat from the blast reached him even from miles away. Fall back, he shouted to his men. Everyone to the shelters now. But there was nowhere to run. The alien ships were everywhere. New York burned. Tokyo vanished under the bombardment. London, Mumbai, São Paulo, all of them were hit at the same time. The aliens were not trying to conquer. They were trying to exterminate. Across the city, Commander Jiwoo Lee was trapped in a collapsing building. She pulled herself from under a fallen beam and stumbled to the window. The city she had grown up in was dying. Fire covered everything. The screams of millions filled the air. Her radio crackled to life. All forces, this is Central Command. Evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, evacuate. The transmission ended in static and an explosion. Jiwoo's hands trembled, but not from fear. From rage. She switched her radio to the emergency military channel. This is Commander Lee. All units in the Seoul sector do not evacuate. I repeat, do not evacuate. Rally at subway station 47. We fight back. Commander, we have no orders to engage, someone replied. I just gave you an order, Jiwoo said coldly. These things came to our home. They are killing our families. We either fight or we die. I choose to fight. Deep underground, in what remained of the KAIST research facility, Dr. Suman Choi watched her equipment go crazy. She was a quantum physicist and her instruments were detecting energy signatures that should not exist. The alien weapons were using technology that broke several laws of physics as humanity understood them. Her hands moved across the keyboard rapidly. If she could understand how their weapons worked, maybe humanity could defend against them. Or better yet, build weapons of their own. The power had gone out twice already, but the backup generators kept her equipment running. A soldier burst into her lab. Doctor, we need to evacuate. No, Suman said without looking up. I need 5 more minutes. The building could collapse. Then it collapses. This data could save billions of lives. She kept working, her eyes fixed on the screens showing the alien energy patterns. There was something there, something important. The soldier swore but stayed by the door, his weapon ready. On the surface, Lieutenant Hyun Kim led what remained of his battalion into the Seoul subway system. The tunnels were crowded with civilians, all terrified and confused. The aliens had landed ground troops now. Hyun had seen them. Creatures that walked on 2 legs like humans but were taller, covered in armor that seemed to be part of their bodies. They carried weapons that could turn a person to ash. Set up defensive positions at every junction, Hyun ordered his soldiers. Use the tunnels to our advantage. They do not know this terrain. We do, his sergeant looked at him. Sir, we are not equipped to fight aliens. No, Hyun agreed. But we are equipped to fight. And right now, that is all we can do. The first aliens entered the tunnel an hour later. They moved confidently, their weapons sweeping the darkness. They had done this before on other worlds. Land, kill the defenders, and the population surrenders. Simple. But Hyun and his soldiers had prepared. The tunnel exploded with gunfire from 3 directions at once. The aliens' armor was strong, but concentrated fire from multiple angles found weak points. 3 aliens fell. The others retreated in surprise. For the first time in their military history, the Valtech Empire had lost soldiers to a newly discovered species. The aliens had expected broken prey. They found soldiers instead. In orbit around Earth, Admiral Doyen Kang watched the destruction from the bridge of the Orbital Defense Station Independence. His station was small and lightly armed. The alien ships could destroy it with a single shot. But they were ignoring him, focused on the planet below. Doyen's communications officer turned to him. Sir, we are receiving surrender demands from the alien fleet. They are broadcasting in multiple languages. They want complete submission within 1 hour. Our response? The officer asked. Doyen thought of his wife and daughter in Busan. He had not heard from them since the attack started. They were probably dead. Most of the planet was probably dead. But that did not mean humanity would surrender. Send a message back, Doyen said quietly. Tell them no. Sir, they will destroy us. Yes, Doyen agreed. But before they do, I am initiating Protocol Ragnarok. The bridge went silent. Every officer turned to look at him. Protocol Ragnarok was a myth, a conspiracy theory, something governments denied existed. It was the plan for what to do if humanity faced extinction. Doyen entered his command codes into the system. Deep in space, automated systems came to life. Hidden shipyards that officially did not exist began powering up. Weapons platforms disguised as asteroids activated their systems, and in the furthest reaches of the solar system, something massive began to move. If we are going to die, Doyen said, looking at the alien fleet, we are going to take them with us. Get me every ship, every weapon, every soldier still alive. This is not an evacuation. This is war. On the surface, as cities burned and millions died, something changed in humanity. They had been peaceful. They had explored space looking for friends. They had built their civilization on hope and cooperation. The aliens had mistaken that for weakness. The aliens had attacked Earth first. They thought it would be easy. They thought humanity would break. They were wrong. Minho Park, covered in dust and blood, watched alien ships land in what used to be a park. He checked his rifle and looked at his soldiers. They were scared. They were outmatched. But they were not broken. We make them pay for every inch, he said. And across the planet, in tunnels and bunkers and ruins, humanity said the same thing. The aliens wanted a massacre. They would get a war instead.